Picture this. It's 3 p.m. on a Tuesday, and you're sitting at your desk. Your eyelids are heavy. There's a fog rolling through your mind, thick and suffocating, and your hands, they're actually shaking. Not dramatically, but enough that you notice. And suddenly, out of nowhere, your brain lights up with a single burning thought. I need something sweet. Right now. It's not a craving. It's a command. You can practically see the donut shop down the street, smell the glaze, taste that first bite. And here's the thing. You're not even hungry. Your stomach isn't growling. But your brain is screaming. We've been told our whole lives that this is about willpower, that if you just had more self-control, you could walk past the vending machine without breaking a sweat. But that's not what's happening here. We think we eat sugar because we have a sweet tooth, because we love the taste, because it's a harmless little treat. Science shows we eat sugar because our biochemistry has been hacked. Your reward circuits, the same ones that light up during love, during victory, during every moment of profound joy. They've been hijacked by a white crystalline powder that's in nearly everything you touch. And while you're fighting that 3 p.m. war in your head, something darker is happening inside your body, something you can't see or feel yet. There's a process called glycation, and if you've never heard of it, that's by design. It's not sexy, it doesn't make headlines, but it's slowly destroying you from the inside out. Think of what happens when you caramelize sugar in a pan. It browns, it hardens, it sticks. That exact same process, that literal cooking, is happening to the proteins in your blood vessels, your kidneys, your eyes, your brain. Excess sugar is caramelizing you. It's making your blood sticky and your cells brittle. It's aging your organs and fast forward while you're worried about the number on the scale. And behind all of this, lurking like a ghost in the machine, is insulin resistance. It's the silent killer nobody talks about at dinner parties. It's the reason you can eat less and gain more. The reason you wake up exhausted even after 8 hours of sleep. The reason your doctor keeps using words like pre-diabetic with that concerned look in their eyes. It's the metabolic malfunction that turns your body into a fat storage machine. And it all starts with sugar. Now, you might think the hardest part of quitting sugar is saying no to the cookie, turning down the birthday cake, walking past the candy aisle without filling your cart. But that's not it. The real challenge, the most shocking, brutal, and transformative change actually happens inside your brain during the first 72 hours. And if you can survive that window, if you can white-knuckle your way through those 3 days of biochemical warfare, your biology begins to do something that can only be described as magical. But before you can reach that state, before you unlock that endless energy and mental clarity everyone keeps talking about, you have to cross a valley of discomfort. You have to face the withdrawal. And your body, it's going to fight you harder than you've ever been fought before. Let's not sugarcoat this. The first few days are going to hurt, not in a dramatic, rush to the emergency room kind of way, but in a slow, grinding, why did I do this, to myself kind of way. You'll wake up on day 2 with a headache that feels like your brain is wrapped in barbed wire. You'll snap at people you love for no reason. You'll feel irritable, foggy, maybe even a little shaky. And the cravings, they don't just knock politely on your door. They kick it down. They scream at you from inside your own skull. You'll find yourself standing in front of the fridge at midnight, staring into the light like it holds the answers to every question you've ever had. And here's what I need you to understand. This is not weakness. This is not you failing. This is your brain throwing what scientists call an extinction burst. It's the dying gasp of an addiction. It's your neural circuits screaming because you've cut off their supply. And they're doing everything in their power to make you turn back. Because here's what nobody tells you. Sugar doesn't just taste good. It hijacks the exact same reward pathways in your brain that light up with cocaine, with alcohol, with every substance we've labeled as addictive. When you eat sugar, your brain floods with dopamine, that feel-good neurotransmitter that says, yes, more of this. This is exactly what we need. And over time, over years of sodas and pastries and just a little dessert, you've turned that pathway into a 6-lane highway. Think of your brain like a soundboard at a concert. Every pleasure, every reward, a good conversation, a beautiful sunset, biting into a crisp apple, has its own volume knob. Sugar cranks that knob up to 100 every single time. It blasts your dopamine receptors at maximum volume, and after a while, normal life starts to sound like silence. That apple? Boring. That sunset? Meh. Your receptors are blown out, desensitized, and suddenly you need more and more sugar just to feel okay, just to feel normal. When you quit, when you finally cut the supply, everything feels muted, flat, like someone turned the music off and left you standing in an empty room. But here's the beautiful part, the part that makes all of this worth it. Your brain is not broken, it's just recalibrating. Studies on neuroplasticity, that's your brain's ability to rewire itself, show that dopamine receptors start to heal remarkably fast. Usually around day 7, sometimes sooner, you begin to turn a corner. The volume knob slowly rotates back down to where it should be, and suddenly normal life starts to have flavor again. Researchers have watched this happen in real time. They've seen the brain light up differently, respond differently, come back to life. And while your brain is resetting its reward circuits, your body is going through its own brutal transition. You're switching fuel sources, and your cells are furious about it. For your entire life, or at least for as long as you can remember, your body has been burning kindling, sugar, quick, fast, easy energy that burns hot and burns out just as fast. That's why you need another hit 2 hours later. That's the blood sugar roller coaster you've been riding your whole life. But now you're teaching your body to burn logs. Fat, slow, steady, sustained energy that doesn't spike, doesn't crash, doesn't leave you shaking and desperate at 3 p.m. Your mitochondria, those tiny power plants inside every cell, are literally learning a new language. And during that translation period, during those first few days, they're stumbling, they're inefficient, they're throwing a tantrum because change is hard, even at the cellular level. This is why you feel tired. This is why you feel like you've been hit by a truck. Your body isn't failing you. It's learning. It's adapting. It's building the metabolic machinery to set you free. And once that fuel switch finally flips, usually somewhere around the end of week 1, the fog doesn't just lift. It evaporates. And you step into a version of yourself you forgot existed. Week 2 hits, and something shifts. You wake up one morning, and for the first time in years, maybe decades, you open your eyes before your alarm goes off. Not because you have to pee, not because the neighbor's dog is barking, but because your body is ready. There's energy humming through your veins, a quiet electricity you haven't felt since you were a kid. You swing your legs out of bed, and instead of that usual heavy dragging sensation, you feel light, present, awake, and then comes the real shock. 3 o'clock rolls around. That slot on your calendar that used to be marked crash and burn, that daily appointment with exhaustion where you'd either mainline coffee or surrender to the couch. It comes and goes. And you're still here, still sharp, still moving. The crash has vanished like it was never real to begin with. You look down at your midsection, and that bloat, that permanent puffiness you'd written off as just getting older, it's deflated. Like someone stuck a pin in a balloon. Your face looks different in the mirror, sharper, the puffiness around your eyes gone, your ankles no longer swollen by the end of the day. So, what the hell just happened? You've put out a forest fire. That's what. Let me explain. Sugar is inflammatory, not metaphorically, literally. Every time you spike your blood sugar, you trigger an inflammatory cascade throughout your entire body. Your immune system goes on high alert. Your blood vessels swell, your joints ache, your gut lining gets damaged. It's like your insides have been smoldering for years, a low-grade fire you've learned to accept as normal. Fatigue? That's normal. Brain fog? Everyone has that. Achy knees? Well, you're not 20 anymore. Except none of that is normal. It's inflammation. And when you remove sugar, when you stop dumping gasoline on that fire every 2 hours, the flames die down. The swelling recedes, and suddenly you remember what it feels like to live in a body that isn't constantly defending itself against you. Here's the metaphor that makes this click. Your body is an engine. For years, you've been running it on dirty fuel. Sugar burns hot, burns fast, and leaves exhaust everywhere, free radicals, oxidative stress, metabolic waste. It's like running a car on the cheapest possible gasoline, and over time, the engine gets gunked up, sputtering, inefficient, but fat burns clean. It's premium fuel. It's the difference between a wheezing economy car and a smooth, purring electric jet. You've upgraded your entire metabolic system, and your body is finally running the way it was designed to. And here's the paradox that breaks people's brains. It seems backward, doesn't it? You cut out your main source of quick energy, the thing you've relied on for instant fuel your entire life, and yet you suddenly have more energy than you've had in a decade. You're eating less sugar and you're feeling more alive. That doesn't make sense, except it makes perfect sense once you understand metabolic flexibility. When you're a sugar burner, you're trapped. You're a slave to the next meal, the next snack, the next spike. Your energy comes in waves, and between those waves, you're drowning. But when you become fat adapted, when your body remembers how to access its own stored energy, you're free. You've got tens of thousands of calories sitting right there on your body, ready to use. You're no longer dependent. You're liberated. Now, stop for a second. Be honest in the comments. What is your absolute kryptonite? Is it soda, chocolate, maybe that healthy vanilla latte that's basically a milkshake with espresso? Let me know what you're trying to quit down below, because I guarantee you're not alone. And let's talk about that dramatic weight drop everyone experiences in the first 2 weeks. 5 pounds, 8 pounds, sometimes more. You step on the scale and it feels like magic. But here's the truth, and I'm not going to lie to you. Most of that is water, not fat. Water, here's why. Sugar is hydrophilic. It loves water. It clings to it. For every gram of sugar stored in your body as glycogen, you're holding on to 3 to 4 grams of water. So when you quit sugar, when you deplete those glycogen stores, your body dumps all that excess fluid. That's why your face looks leaner. That's why your rings fit differently. That's why the puffiness around your ankles disappears overnight. You're not losing muscle. You're not wasting away. You're just no longer walking around retaining gallons of unnecessary water, but looking leaner, fitting into your jeans again. That's just the vanity metric. That's the surface level stuff that gets the clicks and the before and after photos. The most surprising benefit, the thing that actually changes your life, isn't what happens to your waistline. It's what happens to your eyes, your skin, and even your anxiety levels. And that's where things get really interesting. Let's talk about your face. Specifically, something dermatologists quietly call sugar face. You know the look, puffiness around the eyes, a certain dullness to the skin, maybe some persistent acne that expensive creams can't seem to touch. You've probably blamed it on stress, on aging, on not drinking enough water. But here's what's actually happening. High sugar intake spikes your insulin, and insulin doesn't just store fat. It triggers your sebaceous glands to go into overdrive. More oil, more clogged pores, more inflammation under the surface. And that glycation process we talked about earlier. It's not just browning your internal organs, it's breaking down the collagen and elastin in your skin, the structural proteins that keep you looking firm and youthful. Sugar is literally aging your face faster than time itself. So when you quit, when you stop that insulin roller coaster and halt the glycation assembly line, something remarkable happens. Around week 3, people start asking if you got a facial, if you're using a new skincare routine, if you've been sleeping better. And you have been sleeping better, but that's not why your skin is glowing. Your skin is glowing because you've stopped poisoning it from the inside. The inflammation has died down. The oil production has normalized. Your body is finally able to repair the collagen matrix instead of constantly defending against an internal attack. You've spent hundreds, maybe thousands, on serums and creams and treatments. Turns out, The most powerful anti-aging intervention was sitting on your plate the whole time. But the real magic, that's happening in your skull. Let's talk about your brain. High sugar consumption does something insidious to your hippocampus. That's your memory center, the part of your brain responsible for learning, for storing experiences, for helping you remember where you put your keys. Chronic high blood sugar actually shrinks it, makes it smaller, less effective. It's one of the reasons brain fog feels so real, because it is real. Your brain is operating in a state of metabolic chaos. When you quit sugar, you trigger the production of something called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Think of it as fertilizer for your neurons. It's a protein that helps your brain cells grow, connect, and communicate. It's like going from a patchy dirt road to a freshly paved highway system in your head. Studies show that stable blood sugar and reduced inflammation can boost BDNF levels significantly, and the effects are tangible. You remember names. You finish sentences without losing your train of thought. That word you've been grasping for, it's suddenly right there. You're not just feeling sharper, you are sharper. And then there's the anxiety, the constant low-level hum of dread that you've learned to carry like background noise. You probably didn't even connect it to sugar, but here's the mechanism. Every time you spike your blood sugar, it has to come back down. And when it crashes, your body interprets that crash as danger. It releases cortisol and adrenaline, stress hormones designed to mobilize you for a threat. Except there is no threat. There's just your blood sugar bottoming out. So you feel anxious, jittery, on edge, and you don't know why. You're riding a hormonal roller coaster 50 times a day, and your nervous system never gets a chance to rest. When you stabilize your blood sugar, when you eliminate those spikes and crashes, your stress hormones stabilize too. The background anxiety fades, not because you've meditated more or done more yoga, but because you've stopped biochemically triggering your own panic response. Now, I know what you're thinking. This sounds great, but wait, does this mean I can never eat fruit again? Am I supposed to fear an apple? And this is where a lot of people get it wrong, where the fear-mongering takes over and nuance dies. So let me be crystal clear. Fruit is not your enemy. Here's why. Nature is smarter than we are. When nature packages fructose, the sugar in fruit, it wraps it in something called the fiber matrix. Fiber is the antidote. It slows down the absorption of sugar into your bloodstream. It feeds your gut bacteria. It keeps your insulin response gentle and controlled. An orange? Perfectly fine. A glass of orange juice? That's a sugar bomb with the safety mechanism removed. You've taken the fiber out, concentrated the fructose, and turned a piece of fruit into a science experiment that your pancreas was never designed to handle. Don't fear real food. Fear the factory-made stuff. Fear the liquid sugar. Fear the things that come in packages with ingredients you can't pronounce. And here's something wild that happens around day 20 to 25. Your taste buds reset completely. You bite into an apple and it tastes like candy. Not metaphorically, literally. It's almost too sweet. You roast some vegetables and you start tasting a natural sweetness in carrots, in bell peppers, in foods you used to think were bland. You were never tasting them before because your palate was blown out, desensitized like a person standing next to a jet engine trying to appreciate a violin. Now the jet engine is off, and you can finally hear the music. So your skin is glowing. Your brain is firing on all cylinders. You've dropped the water weight, and your anxiety has dialed down to a whisper. You're standing at the end of week 3 thinking, okay, this is incredible, but now what? Is this just a 30-day challenge you post about on social media and then go back to normal? Or is this the new you? And that's the question that determines everything. Here's the thing about 30-day challenges. They're designed with an escape hatch. There's an end date, a finish line, and your brain knows it. So you white-knuckle your way through, you suffer nobly, you post your success story, and then you celebrate your victory with the very thing you just quit. And 6 weeks later, you're right back where you started, wondering why the weight came back, why the fog returned, why you feel like garbage again. The 30-day challenge is a setup. It's a sprint when what you need is a completely different direction. Let's talk about the long game, about compounding interest, except instead of money, we're talking about your biology. 30 days repairs your liver. Your liver, that biochemical powerhouse that's been drowning in fructose, finally gets a chance to heal, to clear out the fat that's been accumulating in its cells. 6 months? 6 months starts to repair your nerves. The peripheral neuropathy, that tingling in your fingers and toes that your doctor said was just something to watch, it begins to reverse. 1 year dramatically lowers your risk of type 2 diabetes. And here's something they don't talk about enough. It slashes your risk of Alzheimer's, which researchers are increasingly calling type 3 diabetes because of how deeply it's connected to insulin resistance in the brain. Your future self, the one 10 years from now, 20 years from now, is either going to thank you or resent you based on the decision you make right now, today. But here's where most people get stuck. Here's the mental trap that keeps them cycling back into old patterns. We feel sorry for ourselves when we turn down the cake at the office party. We watch other people eat the bread basket and we think, poor me, I can't have that. Everyone else gets to enjoy themselves and I'm over here suffering. We frame it as deprivation, as sacrifice, as missing out. And that narrative, that story you're telling yourself, is a poison more dangerous than the sugar itself. So flip the script, rewrite the story. When you turn down the dessert, you're not depriving yourself of pleasure. You're depriving the pharmaceutical companies of a patient. You're refusing to be a statistic. You're choosing freedom over dependence. Because here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. Moderation keeps the addiction alive. Moderation is the strategy that lets you feel virtuous while staying trapped. Just a little is the voice of the addiction negotiating for its survival. Elimination kills the monster. You can't moderate heroin. You can't have just a little bit of a cigarette habit. And for a huge portion of the population, sugar works the same way. One bite doesn't satisfy the craving. It lights the fuse. I'm not saying you can never enjoy a piece of birthday cake for the rest of your life. I'm saying that after 3 months, 6 months, a year of freedom, when you do choose to have that cake, it's a choice, not a compulsion, not a surrender. A conscious decision made from a place of power, not desperation. And more often than not, you'll take one bite and realize it's too sweet, it doesn't taste the way you remembered. And you'll put the fork down without finishing, because you're free. And freedom tastes better than frosting ever did. So here's what I need from you. If you're ready to reset your system, if you're ready to stop negotiating with an addiction and start reclaiming your biology, hit that like button right now. Not for me. For your future self, make it a contract, subscribe so you don't miss the next step in this journey because we're just getting started, and share this with a friend, someone who needs to hear this, someone you can hold accountable and who can hold you accountable right back. You don't have to do this alone. Now, if you want to speed up this entire process, if you want to repair your insulin sensitivity twice as fast and unlock even deeper levels of metabolic healing, you need to combine quitting sugar with a powerful timing technique. It's called intermittent fasting, and when you layer it on top of everything we just talked about, the results are nothing short of extraordinary. Click the video on the screen to stay connected. See you there. Till then, peace out.